I, 24 male, and my wife, 24, are a newlywed couple. My wife has 4 friends who she's been really close with since high school. My wife decided to go to an expensive steakhouse for their celebration. The day comes and we go in separate cars there. We all eat, and my wife slides the bill, $700 plus, and proceeds to say, "The man should always pay for the wife and her friends." I laugh awkwardly, asking why. She says, "Because I'm the man." I tell her that the only other person I would pay for would be you and me. Her friends proceeded to laugh at me, calling me a broke husband. I stand up, put 2 $100 bills for my wife's and my food, and leave. My wife gets home and starts screaming at me, saying I made her feel embarrassed, how she promised her friends I'd pay, and that her friends made fun of her on the ride home for marrying a man who couldn't pay the bill. I decided to pack a bag and head to my friend's house. I told my parents and friends, and they said I should have just paid for it. Now I'm having second thoughts if I overreacted. Am I the idiot? Dude, everyone in this scenario is an idiot except you. Wow. The audacity to just casually push a $700 bill and then say, well, the man should always pay for his wife and her friends. It sounds to me like your wife doesn't want a spouse. She wants a sugar daddy who'll treat her and her friends. And when you pushed back, she blew up in an attempt to manipulate the situation in her favor by playing on your emotions. You embarrassed me. Your family and friends must think that emotional and financial abuse, guilting you, and trying to force you to pay for her and her friends with no prior warning is cool, huh? Get better friends and seek marriage counseling or divorce if this is frequent behavior. Not the idiot in the slightest. This sounds like some power move that backfired spectacularly. She embarrassed herself. I hate these stupid stereotypes. If you brought 4 friends to your house and said, without telling her, my wife will be cooking dinner tonight because women should stay in the kitchen, I know she'd freak out and scream at you, even though making 4 sandwiches is far from being expected to pay $700 plus. And the audacity for the friends to call you broke? If my friend said my wife was useless because she couldn't cook, I'd flip the heck out at them. She should have asked ahead if she expects you to fork out an extra $400 to $500 for her friends. This was an absolute gold-digging move by her. Is this really who you intend to spend your whole life with? Moreover, how much would she have lost it if you asked how much fun the one-man orgy would be later, since all her friends are now your date? Pretend to be shocked and tell her you can't believe all of her friends want to date you now. Yes, I know that second part is more of a joke, but if she wants archaic traditions used whenever it benefits her, suggesting an equally archaic and preposterous notion seems fitting. However, table of 6, $700 tab, $116 per person, plus the tip. You should have actually left more money for the 2 of you. Update. Hi guys. I've read someone's comments asking if my wife has acted like this before, and she never has. That's why I just laughed awkwardly. The only other time she did this was when I didn't buy her mom food, which happened when we first started dating. And it was the first time she ever screamed at me like that. Instead of escalating it, I just left. And when we do argue, it's not a screaming match. I've known her since freshman year of high school, and we got together junior year. Dated for 8+ years. I decided to talk to her tomorrow about what happened, why she did that, etc. I do recognize that I didn't pay the full amount for my and my wife's dinner. I do take fault for that. I should have added another $50 to $75 to make it the price for 2 people. For the people who say I forgot to tip, I go there regularly with my coworkers. Each pay for their own plate and always leave a good tip. I, 24 male, am autistic. so I don't understand social clues well. And what happened today made me wonder if I'm an idiot. My friend Jessica, 26 female, is a reckless driver. About 2 weeks ago, she got into a car accident with her sister, and as a result, her sister developed paraplegia. However, Jessica's stable and didn't suffer any consequences. Today we were with a group of friends, including Jessica, talking about the regular checkup on cars and implementing safety measures to decrease the RTA. And the topic of Jessica's car accident popped up, and she said something like it was meant to be, and that she was really sad for her sister. To be honest, I couldn't hold the urge to say that it wasn't meant to be. If she had regularly checked her tires, her sister would be completely fine, but because of her ignorance, she got her sister paralyzed. She started crying, and everyone called me an idiot for being mean. However, I think I didn't say anything wrong. Especially the car accident was 95% avoidable if she had checked her tire pressures. Edit. They had to do an emergency stop to avoid a collision. The low tire pressure affected the braking distance and provided less responsiveness in steering and handling, and as a result, they got into an accident. That means the accident wasn't caused by reckless driving, but by a mechanical issue. That's not at all what you said in your story. So even if this could have been avoided by better maintenance, it's factually inaccurate to describe it as being Jessica's fault. So you were wrong, on top of saying something that was unnecessarily cruel. You specifically said, couldn't hold the urge. You knew it was wrong and are trying to use autism to hide behind as an excuse. Double, you are the idiot. By a mechanical issue, an easily corrected mechanical issue that displays on the dashboard of any car manufactured in the last 15 years, which accounts for about 75% of all vehicles. And even if the car did not have TPMS, a driver should know what low tires look like. And if low tire pressure affects braking distance that much, then you've got pancake tires, and it's visible. I do not sympathize with Jessica's plight. Unsafe cars are the driver's responsibility. It's a hard not the idiot for me. This woman needed a reality check, and giving her that was far more important than tiptoeing around her feelings. My answer would be different had she shown some remorse, or at least just kept quiet. But to say that the accident was meant to be? How insulting and dismissive towards her sister, whose entire life has now been ruined. Let her cry. At the very least, maybe through crying, OP's words will get through to her, and she won't be negligent like that again. Who knows, OP? You may have even saved another person, or people, from ending up paraplegic or dead at her hands. We've been dating for about 4 months, and mostly, it's been good. He's cute, smart, and very successful. The only downside is that he's almost addicted to buying things on sale or coupons, despite being a VP at his company. I'm not talking about sometimes or even most of the time. I'd be all right with that. He never buys anything at full price. Never. He plans his cooking around what's on sale at the grocery stores that week. All of his clothes were bought on sale or clearance, even his socks and boxers. Last week, we were at my friend's house for dinner, and she commented on his shirt. He proudly said he got it on clearance last year for $20. I was mortified. Lastly, we don't go to any restaurant unless he finds a coupon or they're running some kind of special. Things came to a head last night when we went out for dinner. He had a digital coupon for buy one, get one free. For some reason, the restaurant's computer didn't recognize the deal, and the poor cashier couldn't make it work. We held up the crowded line because he refused to pay for both dinners. Finally, the cashier called the manager, but he was busy somewhere else in the restaurant. While we waited, the people behind us were getting annoyed. I was so embarrassed. I left him standing in line by himself and went to the car. We argued the entire drive home. We were supposed to go to the movies because he got free tickets, but I wasn't in the mood, so he dropped me off. We haven't texted today at all. When I talked to my friends at brunch, they didn't see a problem with it, and I found it frustrating that they didn't understand how embarrassing it was. Am I the idiot? Or is this normal? The fact that the computer didn't recognize the deal wasn't his fault. He had the coupon. He ate there with the expectation that the coupon would be honored. Again, as long as he was patient and not rude to the cashier, he did nothing wrong. If the people standing behind were annoyed, they should get annoyed at the restaurant management, not him. Overall, this sounds very much like a you problem, not a him problem. And calling him a cheapskate? You've been dating for 4 months. I can't see this relationship lasting if you continue with that attitude. You are the idiot. The mortified comment is really all you have to read here. The fact that OP is mortified by her boyfriend telling people he got a fantastic deal on a shirt is crazy. OP should be embarrassed by her vanity. Being a smart shopper is something to be proud of. Also, found it very interesting that OP's reaction to the embarrassment of waiting on the coupon was to wait in the car rather than offering up any of their own money to cover the second meal. I disagree. Not the idiot. Getting a good deal is great, and there's nothing wrong with it, but making every decision based on what is cheap, especially when you don't need the money, just makes it seem like you don't value the person you're spending it on, or like you're impoverished and desperate. When you're super vocal about it and bragging about it, arguing about coupons and haggling, you're loudly advertising that you're money insecure, which is not a great look. I once had a boyfriend just like yours who left me alone in a restaurant for an extended amount of time to go back to our hotel room and search for a coupon for that restaurant, which he couldn't find and thought that he'd left behind. He couldn't find it and then tried to talk the waitress into accepting it anyway while describing it. The coupon was for like $2 off. I was mortified. I just wanted to pay and leave, which led to a fight. So I totally get where you're coming from. I, 28 male, will marry my fiancée, Sky, 28 female, in November. Sky's dancing with her mom and her granddad and 2 people who raised her. Sky wanted to know if I had any plans to dance with anyone. I told her I'd likely ask my grandparents on my mom's side. They're the people I would be closest to. I asked my grandparents and they were over the moon. Grandpa even started practicing for it. My grandma was a little more emotional about it because my mom died when I was only 7. And for my grandma, it was a reminder that she and grandpa had to step in for some stuff so it could feel as close to having a mom there as possible. I asked my grandparents because I'm not close to my dad or his wife. My dad is a cold man. He was always that way. After our mom died, my grandparents were there for my younger brother and me. Dad would tell us to stop trying to make him something he wasn't. He only wanted emotion from us during his second wedding to his wife. She dreamed of stepping in, becoming our mom, and filling in the gaps mom left behind. We never wanted her to do that. In fact, for many years, my brother and I hated her for trying to fill in for mom. She was a stranger, some woman our dad chose, who had nothing to do with us. She went too far at times, and because of that, in my heart, she never became my stepmom, and instead remained my dad's wife. My brother feels the same way. She's not a terrible person. Some would say we should have welcomed her efforts and appreciated them, but she was stepping all over our mom in our eyes. When she put her name down under mom instead of legal guardian, and when she'd buy herself Mother's Day cards and put our names on a card that said best mom, when she cut my brother's hair against his wishes because it bothered her that it was almost exactly like mom's hair, and she hated it being pointed out. Also, when she tried to guilt us into watching her give birth when we didn't want to, when she tried to force me to bring her to some mother-son dance and cried because I refused. Today, I have a minimal, more low-contact relationship with them, so she was never going to be someone I asked. But she heard through my dad's parents that I was planning to dance with my grandparents, and she asked me to do a mother-son dance with her. I said no. I didn't give a reason or make a discussion, just no. She started crying again and told me that we loved crushing her and putting her in her place when all she ever wanted to do was to love us. She's mad, and so are my dad and his parents. They said my brother and I always treated her unfairly, and I should have agreed to the dance after all these years of her trying. Am I the idiot? You're absolutely not the idiot here. She's made you deeply uncomfortable on many occasions and has tried to make everyone stop referencing your actual mom in conversation. That's incredibly insensitive, and she's not deserving of a dance with you. Plus, you can do whatever you want on your wedding day. Heck, you could dance with a pet if you want. You could dance with a pet? Now I'm imagining cat waltzing. That's enough internet for today. I thought that maybe you didn't give her a fair shot, but good grief. Some of the things you said she did were downright creepy. She may have had good intentions, but this is a classic case of someone forcing their love onto you so hard that you start to resent them. When she cut my brother's hair against his wishes because it bothered her that it was almost exactly like mom's hair, and she hated it being pointed out, this stuck out for me. She forcefully cut your brother's hair because he looked like your mom? If her overreach wasn't difficult enough, this alone pretty much torpedoed you and your brother ever considering her to be a material figure in your life. She is not your mother. You do not owe her a dance at your wedding. Keep saying no. My 29 female, husband 29, and I are pregnant. We're happy about it, but it all happened so fast. We didn't discuss the details before. Today, while we were fantasizing about our future, I wistfully said our baby's full name, the gender-neutral first name we chose, and my last name. He was upset and asked why I assumed they would take my name. I said it was because I thought he didn't care about his last name, whereas my last name is very important to me. Context: I never changed my last name when we got married because in my culture, this is uncommon. And my name also has very heavy cultural and historical significance. I'm incredibly proud of it, and I'm also very close with my extended family. My husband has no relationship with his family, as his parents abandoned him to his uncle, who abused him for years until he moved in with me. When we were getting married, he wanted to change his last name to mine because he felt like my family was his real family, which I was okay with. But eventually, we decided he didn't need to go through that hassle since he's part of our family regardless. He's never expressed any type of interest in his heritage, Irish. And even when I suggested we go visit Ireland, he was uninterested. But now he said that people will think the kid is not his, and that by having kids not take the father's last name, it's disrespectful. I was confused because he's never expressed any such sentiment before. I told him my last name is a non-negotiable, so we can hyphenate it. He was resistant since both our last names are clunky and long, but eventually he said only if his name comes first. I got really annoyed at his implication that there's something wrong with taking the mom's last name. So maybe I was a little petty and said, "Suits me. That way, people will think your name's just a middle name and mine is their last name." He told me I was being an idiot and left the house. It's been a couple of hours, and he's responding to my text with one-word responses. Edit: I thought it was a good idea to change his last name to mine, so he was researching the process, but ended up complaining that the process seemed like a big hassle. After this, I told him that my family loves him regardless of what name he has, so he decided not to go through with it. Everyone's the idiot here. Neither parent has the right to assume their child will take only their last name. This is something you and your husband should have discussed a long time ago. You discussed whether you'd take his last name and whether he would take yours. Why didn't your potential kids' last names come up during those conversations? You're both equally making assumptions and telling the other that certain things are non-negotiable. You're going to have to negotiate. You have to meet in the middle. There will have to be some give on both sides. This is your child, not a fight that one of you wins. The hyphenate is a good compromise. No hyphens. Please save the kid the pain. It is a hassle for their whole lives. Not the idiot. He knew well in advance how you felt about your last name. He even said he would take your last name. If he's so concerned that people will think he isn't the baby's father, he can change his last name to your last name, as he originally wanted to. He's just lazy because it seems like a big hassle.